I was taken to dinner theater, I think at Greensboro, to see Billy Liar.
Oh, wow.
And at some point during the performance, the actor turned and I thought was looking at me. He delivered a line to me,
Right.
and it just shot all through my body.
Right.
I'd never had an experience like that. And boy, I was hooked. On the way home from Greensboro to my home in Enfield in Halifax County the next day, the actor who played Billy Liar, whose name was Roger Golden, I remember it, was thumbing back to New York. The show had closed. He was going back to New York.
Wow.
I told my mother, I said, that's the guy. Well, we pulled over, gave him a ride. We said, you know, we're going north to Halifax County.
Yeah.
And he said, great, I'll go as far as you can take me.
Yeah.
He spent the night at our house. We said, look, when we got there, it was late. So he spent the night, and we sat up until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning talking. I had never had a chance to talk to a professional actor. And it just really excited me and inspired me. And I think that was, one of the reasons that I kept going in the direction of theater.
How old were you when that happened?
Oh gosh, 15,
Yeah.
16.
I remember, if I'm not mistaken, I was in 4th grade, and they brought us to the gymatorium or whatever to see the 5th and 6th graders do a 35, 40-minute concert version of Fiddler on the Roof. And I didn't expect much. We're sitting on the floor and all this stuff, and this fellow named Wes Moran, I can't believe I still remember that. Little 6th grade guy comes out and sings "If I Were a Rich Man," and I was like, that is what I want to do. I don't know what he's doing up there, but that is what I want to do. And then, if I'm not mistaken, again, there was a woman named Becky Lilly who got up there and just knocked me over with her talent. And I was like, I got to get involved in that. So the next year, I was involved in their gymatorium production of the 45-minute version of Camelot. And I got to sing a small solo, and then in the later scene they did a scene. I actually played King Arthur in that scene, and Becky Lilly played Guinevere, and she was 10 times even better then. And I just couldn't fathom how someone as young as that could be, phenomenally talented. And the end of that story is that when I was a junior in high school, I played Tevye and Fiddler on the Roof, and Becky Lilly played Golda. And that was the life-changing experience that got me in theater forever. Once I did that show, I was done for. And I'm a pretty good judge of talent because Becky Lilly went to New York City and is now running a youth theater in Brooklyn. So she's an amazing, amazing person.
And how about Wes?
I think Wes was probably wise enough to make money for a living or something.
That's something else to do.
That's right.
That's lovely.
I remember when I was little, and my dad took me to see The Wind in the Willows in Los
lovely.
Angeles, and it really excited me. I was probably 8 or 9, and I was so taken with it. But then also Sally Struthers was sitting next to me, so that was pretty cool.
Yes.
And I got very distracted.
Yeah.
And then we were just talking the other night about a chorus line.
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh, when I was a teenager, my dear friend and I figured out how to break into the Schubert Theater, and we would go see a chorus line all the time. Back in the day, there were no cameras and everything. We learned how to walk in through a side door, and a chorus line really struck me because it was about these dancers, these artists who that they found their purpose in life. That's all they were living for.
They're not stars.
They're not stars. They just understood, this is what I have to do. This is what I'm made to do. And I just need a chance to do it. And I think that's probably the first time that it really struck me, like, oh, I get that. That's me too. So, yeah.
I don't really remember the first play that I saw, although one of the most vivid theater experiences I had as a very young person was we were in New York City, and my dad and my mom was doing something else, and my dad took me to see this play starring Cheetah Rivera, an unknown Nathan Lane, and Doug Henning called Merlin.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so I remember sitting in that theater, and it was just really a show built around Doug Henning's ability to do these amazing illusions, right? And I remember sitting there going like, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Sure.
You know?
He was on the Magic Show too, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah.
The Stephen Schwartz.
Yeah.
Ooh, I don't even know if this counts. My mom wasn't a really involved in school kind of mom, but she took, again in 5th grade, my 5th grade on a field trip. She was one of the home parents to see Snow White on Ice.
Okay. Yeah.
So I don't know if that really counts, but it was theater.
The
It was definitely,
Escapades.
it was the Escapades.
Yeah.
And we drove to St. Louis from where I grew up, Belleville, Illinois, which that was an adventure in of itself, and got to see this fantastical production, and I was just enthralled. And then my sisters had a dance studio, and my older brother also was in his high school musicals. We didn't have a theater in our hometown growing up, and we didn't often go to St. Louis. I mean, now Belleville's a suburb, but back then it seemed like, it was eons away. So that was a real treat that we didn't do. I guess it was seeing my siblings in their high school shows.
So your siblings were actors, or
No, they just, we all sang. And everybody in my family had musical talent. My dad sang in the church choir, and all of my siblings, this is terrible, except for me, play the piano.
Well,
So-
that's about the only thing you don't do. It seems like that.
I may have seen some plays and some children's theater when I was young growing up here, but the first play that made an impression on me, we went to New York, and my first trip to New York, I saw Peter Pan. And
Sandy Dennis?
Sandy Duncan, yes.
Sandy Duncan,
yes,
sorry,
Sandy
yeah.
Duncan.
That would be
yeah.
more interesting.
Sandy
with
Dennis would be.
It would be quite-
She would give it a good go. I'm sure she would have. No, Sandy Duncan, and yes, it made quite an impression. And I had the great fortune to direct her here several years later, well, many years later, and she said, "You would be surprised how many people had told her through the years that it made them want to go into the business." And she said especially gay men, which, I mean, I guess, I don't know, Never Never Land and Pixie Dust
Was it
and all
the
that.
androgynous nature of the character? Or?
I don't know. I mean, at the time, that wasn't for me. And in fact, I loved her in it, but I've always wanted to see the musical with a male-identifying actor. I just think that would be interesting too. Mix it up gender-wise. The rest of the whole cast could be, so it doesn't take away an opportunity. But I don't think it was that. I think it was believing in magic. I think it was, I think it was believing. It's like the fascination with Over the Rainbow. The idea of Neverland when you are a young gay person, or just a young artist in a small town, straight or gay. You're dreaming of what else could be out there.
And suddenly you're in the room where that's happening.
Yes.
It's not happening in Los Angeles or London
That's
or
right.
Timbuktu. It's happening in Raleigh, or it's happening in this case in New York, but it's the room you're in.
Right there. That's exactly
It's
right.
a big thing. Yeah, it's a very big thing. The first play I ever remember seeing was a touring production of Cinderella, which came through my hometown, what later became my college. But my father took me to see it, me and my twin brother. There was a moment where the Cinderella, as the girl in rags, became the princess, and she held her arms up overhead. They flew in the dress, on a fly system. You could see it all happening. It was clear what they were doing. Somebody stuck a tiara on her head. The lights changed, and she was a princess.
That's magic.
And
That's theater magic.
And it wasn't hiding anything.
Yeah.
It was just you were believing in it, and that was the moment I wanted to do this. That was the moment I wanted to be in this room.
So I don't actually remember. A lot of I've learned in my age now that that since I experienced trauma as a child, a lot of my memory from my childhood is wonky. So like even thinking about this, I didn't quite remember. But the first time I remember going to the theater and it being a thing, I was about 14 or 15, and my dad took me to see As You Like It at Stewart Theater at NC State. And I was like, yeah, I want to do this. I want to be here and do this stuff. And like,
Whose production?
I have no idea.
It was a touring production?
Probably. Because it was very, like, it's so good and so exciting and so the world I wanted to be in. And twist, we're putting on our festival, not in Stewart, but at Thompson at NC State. So like, I'm putting on theater there.
Yeah.
And that was like what I named that I wanted.
Well, it's a better space. And you
Yeah.